What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Today is going to be a clip from one of my TikTok live discussions. So if you want to get in on more of these kinds of discussions that are happening, I suggest you go down below and follow both of my accounts over there on TikTok. Today, we're talking to Scuba Squad Apologetics. I feel like saying that every time I say that person's name. Anyways, we're going to be talking about sexual slavery in the Bible, as well as biblical marriage. And more specifically, how the biblical marriage in the Bible is actually sexual slavery. Then we're getting into the cultural and hermeneutical context of these biblical practices. And then finally, we're getting into divine command theory and why God would condone and command some violence against other tribes that the Israelites knew about at the time. So if you want to fuck around and find out how Scuba Squad Apologetics makes excuses for the God in the Hebrew Bible, then please stay tuned.
Hey,
all right, Scuba Squad Apologetics.
I finally got to meet you, man, in person. How's it going?
Going pretty good. How you doing? Hold on. Sorry, just for TikTok terms of service and stuff, how old are you?
I'm 42.
42. And your pronouns are?
Okay, this is one thing I don't do. I don't do pronouns. So can I just call myself?
You just use a pronoun in order. I don't understand this. Like, this is like third grade shit. So like people in the comment section are going to want to refer to you.
Are you going to be tolerant with me as I identify with a Christian?
Can I explain? Can I explain real quick? So people in the comment section are going to want to refer to you in like by not using Scuba Squad. Also, these I usually cut up and put on my YouTube channel, and so I want people to respect you in the comment section and be able to refer to you without having to say Scuba Squad Apologetics every single time. So using pronouns, he, him, she, her kind of pronouns is very important, you know, to the audience so that they can refer to you properly.
All right, for your benefit and your benefit only, you can call me he, him.
Okay. All right. He, him. Awesome. Great. Everybody understands that. So do you want to disagree with anything up here, or do you want to talk about something else?
Yeah, man, I need to know what you mean by sex slaves in the Bible. The Bible, I don't know where it ever talks about having sex slaves, so I'm kind of weird about that.
Right. So let's try to use the TikTok safe language, and I guess you got to say smacks or something like that. It's really stupid, but it's TikTok like bullshittery. It's not me. I'm foul mouth, so it doesn't matter to me. It matters to TikTok. But in any case, so there's one. If you'll just allow me to sort of lay out my case, and then I'll definitely allow you some time to respond to it. So basically, any marriage in the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament is a form of sexual slavery, and this is primarily because of the fact that women's consent are not considered when being married or choosing a suitor or anything like that. Thank you so much for the heart, Eric. So choosing a suitor or anything like that, their consent is not considered. They are bought and bartered, just like any other kind of property at the time. In Exodus 20:17, they are listed amongst property. So they're definitely seen as property, and the trading of women in this way, forcing into marriage, as denoted by actual like Roman scholars of like the first century CE, BCE, and on back, they acknowledge that this is a form of sexual slavery. So there's that form of sexual slavery in the Old Testament. So just any relationship with a woman is considered sexual slavery by definition. And then what we have are more explicit instances of it, being that like Numbers 31 has the Israelites going into a people group, slaughtering everybody, including small children and babies, and then taking the young virgin girls to be forced into marriages to Israelite men. And this, again, forced marriage, this is sexual slavery. They do not have control over their smecks, I guess. They don't have the option to not engage in smecks with these Israelite men, and so therefore, because they're ripped of that bodily autonomy, they are considered to be part of sexual slavery. So that's why sexual slavery is indeed endorsed by God, but more so is commanded by God.
Gotcha. Cool. So you're equating sexual slavery to arranged marriages that are still happening today in certain cultures.
Yeah, which would still be sexual slavery in that instance. If you don't have the ability to consent to it, then you're part of a sexual slavery sort of situation.
So anytime that we're reading, I mean, I know you disagree with me on this, a historical document, we're supposed to apply certain rules, or hermeneutical rules. Okay, so we're dealing with who, what, when, where. So basically, here it's the when, because we're dealing with a certain culture in a certain time, and there wasn't. It's not like today's culture where I mean, I get it. Women have like and men have these freedoms today.
I'm so sorry, Scuba Squad. I don't know if you're going through a tunnel or you're being raptured, but I can. You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm losing you, bud. Wait, you might be okay.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Looking into a culture time period that for viewing any kind of historical document, I don't think it's fair to kind of point out things of that time. And then also you mentioned the Amalekites and stuff, right? So when we were told to go, well, not we, I'm sorry, when the Israelites were told to go and slaughter these groups of people were not innocent by any means. They were sacrificing their babies on like furnaces and doing horrible stuff to their women even. If they were doing it to their babies, they were doing it to their women. So by killing all the men and stuff, and then bringing in the women, it wasn't really, in that culture, it wasn't a sign of sexual slavery. It was a sign of providing. Because even in, like, I served in Iraq, for example, like,
right. Well, can I push back a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so if that were the case,
yeah, go ahead.
If it were the case that God was trying to prevent this people group from sacrificing children or anything like that, why would he directly tell the Israelites to go in and kill small children? It seems to me like God doesn't care about that aspect of it. What he cares about is whether or not they were worshiping him while doing it. That seems to be the case here. And also, this sexual slavery, I'm not trying to be anachronistic about it. I am just looking at the situation, and I am applying our understanding of sexual slavery. So, like, whether or not they considered it to be sexual slavery is of no consequence to me. It is only whether or not it meets the definition of sexual slavery, which it does.
So we would consider slave trading to be like sexual slavery, but we're talking about arranged marriages from certain family groups. And how do we know that the women weren't okay with that? Is the thing. The consent was there. Like even in arranged marriages now, they still can't like control exactly who they're going to marry, but they're still in consent with the parents arranging that marriage for them.
How do you know that?
Well, you know what? Some might not be, but
so my entire point. Sorry to cut you off, but my entire point is that the Bible never states that their consent mattered. The Bible never makes it important to consider their consent, and so that is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that that the women were never okay with it. I think that at the time it was seen as a normalized thing. So like it was normalized that women were bought and traded like that. And so they probably wouldn't have had a problem with it. But just because you're ignorant of the problem doesn't mean that it's not a problem. So it's still considered like whether or not, whether or not, hold on, whether or not like they actually were okay with it. My point is that the Bible never considers their consent. So like the Bible never says that their consent was asked. or that they were asked for consent. It was always just, okay, do you have 3 goats and 5 shekels? Then you can buy my daughter. Or in the case of Jacob, who later turned into Israel after he naked wrestled God in the desert, he bought 2 women with 14 years of hard labor. So, like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, women were bought. Their consent was never considered. I'm not saying that they weren't okay with it. I'm saying that their consent was never considered. Can you give me an instance in the Hebrew Bible or in the Newer Testament where their consent was considered?
So we can't. There's a double side of that, because we can't give instance where the women did not agree to the consent either. Because it's like a parent. So if you have, Jesus said this. Jesus said, I give good gifts. How much would you give to your children a rock if they asked you for bread? If they asked you for a fish, would you give them a serpent? So when you're a child in this type of culture, in this family, and you're growing up to be this woman, what makes you think the father and the mother wouldn't allow the daughter to have some sort of opinion on who they were thinking that she should be arranged marriage to? Because like Jacob's instance, Jacob was in love with this one woman, but then what happened is he worked his butt off, and he was given one of the other sisters on purpose by the father, because the father wanted that one to be married, and she was happy with it. And then
on that point, how shitty is it that he was like, oh, I slept with the wrong daughter, I guess I gotta work another 7 years to buy the correct daughter? Do you agree that he bought them?
In that culture, in that situation, like we're talking about hermeneutics here, it was honorable of him to actually still say, hey, okay, I got to keep this as my wife because I've married her, and I
this as my wife. Like, are you listening to your the way that you're referring to women in this?
So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, at that point, in that time, it was okay in that culture, right? And in Arabic culture, it's still the same. Look,
oh man, I'm so sorry. You're breaking up pretty bad. Are you driving, by the way?
Yeah, I gotta say that. I'm sorry. That's my fault. I can try another time. It's great to meet.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll definitely this weekend. I plan on being live at least one more time. Maybe on Saturday or something. Maybe on Friday. Maybe tomorrow night I might be live. So just try to catch me then.
Are you going to be talking about the same topic?
We can. Yeah, regardless of what topic's up there, like this is just a conversation starter to get people to like request in. So
cool. Well, you know, I'm still going to be commenting on your stuff.
Hey, that's perfectly fine. I hope that you will.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's great to meet you, bud.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great meeting you too, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, heathens, for watching today. I really appreciate it. If you will, please go down below and let me know what you thought about sexual slavery and biblical marriage and the connection between those two topics. And then finally, how do you feel about the section where we discuss the cultural and hermeneutical context of these biblical practices? Do you think that makes a large difference in how we should interpret these texts, or does it really not matter? What are your thoughts on divine command theory and what God commanded that the Israelites do to these other nations that were around the Israelites? Let me know down below in the comments. And while you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.